A carriage is not a necessity for a newborn baby. It is an extra that you would think about buying. The most important things for buying for a newborn baby would be planning a layout.
All the girls in Mrs. Braxton's home economics class are pregnant. Mrs. Braxton teaches at the community school in Brownsville, one of 5 special high schools run by New York City for pregnant girls. The girls range in age from 12 to 17. All say they want to keep their babies, even if they have to drop out of school to care for them.
You should set aside a place in your room for your baby by using a crib or a bassinet. It would be very advisable to buy a crib rather than a bassinet, because a bassinet will only last until the baby is 3 months old, or by the time his arm can reach the sides of a bassinet. A crib usually lasts up until 6 years if you buy a large one.
I really thought it couldn't happen to me. You know, a crazy idea like, oh, it happens to everybody else, but it'll never happen to me.
What do you think now?
Well, it happens. Well, I don't know.
Gilda transferred out of her neighborhood high school when she became pregnant during the summer of 1968. She attended the community school, had her baby, and then returned to her old high school and was graduated.
It's worked out pretty well. I hope to teach. I hope to go on to Brooklyn College and then teach. And I don't know, it turned out pretty well. I don't regret it at all.
What about contraception? Have you, would you say you've learned a lesson, or has it changed your attitude on contraception? What?
Well, I've learned a lesson. I don't want to have any children for a while now, because since I'm going to school, I don't think it would be too good to have 2 children and have to take them to a babysitter and whatnot. So I'm on the pill.
Gilda, you live close by the community school. You come back and visit sometimes. Now that you're in college, have had your baby, how do you feel when you come back to the school?
Well, I remember all the good times I had when I was at the school, and the old teachers, and I remember that if it wasn't for this school, I may have not gone on to college.
This school made a difference in your life.
Among girls who have gone to the community school, Gilda is unusual. She is now married, she's practicing birth control, and she wants to finish college before she becomes pregnant again. Among girls now at the school, there's little talk of marriage. Few have used contraceptives or plan to, and most appear unconcerned about the prospect of more pregnancies.
You know, it's not a mess. You know, if it happens, it happens. If you can't avoid it, that's just it, you know.
Well, suppose this is a problem that exists in the future after you have this baby.
You know, what happens one time, you know, very seldomly happens again. And
is that your feeling about it? That what happened once very seldom happens again?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about.
We're talking about contraceptives.
But in this case, yeah. I don't believe in killing, and the pill kills the sperm.
You discussed it with your mother?
My mother said the same thing.
But how did she feel about you becoming pregnant? You're being pregnant now.
oh boy. She hit the ceiling. No, she was, you know, she wasn't upset. She was just mad. Because, you know, she thought, oh, she's such a good little girl. She won't do this, she won't do that. And, well, fooled her this time. But, you know, not to be funny, she started to like it. You know, like after 2-3 months, she started to like the idea.
There's little to do in Brownsville, few places to go. In a recent study, more than half the children in one area had reached school age without ever having been more than 25 blocks from home. Children grow up in the narrow culture of their own block And in Brownsville, that block is likely to be mostly rubble. Much of the area is being cleared for a long-delayed federal housing project. Old buildings are being torn down, but no new ones are being put up in their place. The movie theaters are closed down, and neighborhood life is dying. But the birth rate in Brownsville is high, and the number of births among teenage girls is 5 times higher than it is in most other areas of the city. One school official said, "My children are having children while they are still children."
Give a little bundle pressure, Sam.
The girls at the community schools say they want their babies, but there are strong indications that when they get older, they may change their minds.
Just wipe it off. Rub it back a little.
On the day this baby was born, there were more than 400 births in New York City, and health officials estimated nearly half the babies born to low-income mothers were unplanned and unwanted. From a public health point of view, much of New York City has become a dangerous and hostile environment for children. There are too many children and too few people to care for them. The problem is most acute in the ghettos. And it is in the ghettos that the federal government has instituted a broad program of birth control. This is one of 28 federally funded contraception clinics now operating in the city.
The doctor will fit you for a diaphragm if the diaphragm is what you wish. With the diaphragm, you use vaginal jelly or the vaginal cream.
At the clinics, women learn about the various methods of contraception, and they are given free pills or contraceptive devices if they want them. Since recent reports about possible dangers from the use of the pill, the diaphragm and the intrauterine device have become increasingly popular.
Which will kill the sperm.
The federal program has also been extended to the maternity wards of most city hospitals. New mothers are visited at bedside by birth control counselors. Whenever possible, women who have not practiced birth control are given contraceptives before they leave the hospital.
Won't that be more or less uncomfortable on a female?
No, it's not uncomfortable at all. Only when you first have it put in it's uncomfortable, and then it settles down. It's very nice. I have one.
No ill feelings during marital courses?
No, no one knows it's there but you. You don't even have to tell your husband unless you got a big mouth. And see how soft? It gets lost, too. You wouldn't be able to feel it.
That wouldn't cause any irritations?
Well, not that I know of. I'm not a doctor, but there is a doctor working with me who could give you more information.
This is a training session for new birth control counselors. The program has had wide acceptance in the hospitals and in the neighborhoods, but there has been some opposition, particularly from the Black Panthers and the Black Muslims, who have charged that the program is politically motivated and that it is a form of genocide.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of organizations that go around telling their people, like the black organization, for instance, they'll say, don't you take birth control, because that's genocide. They're trying to keep the black population down, you know.
Yeah.
They want the white people to get ahead of us so they can kill us. Well, what do you tell a person like this? Population, you know.
Dolores, instead of saying she, and usually what I tell these people is that, like, I don't know what the people up in the government are thinking of when they sign these appropriation bills to have so much money set aside for birth control. You know, maybe it is genocide. I don't know. I do know that, you know, there is a genocide going on, but I feel that my people are doing it to themselves. It's an intellectual genocide. They're producing all these kids, and they're not making the plans to secure their future. And, you know, like, I would rather know that I've taken birth control and secured a college education for someone than to have 10 kids who are never going to amount to anything because I don't even have the time to find out what their wishes or dreams are all about.
In a poem, Langston Hughes once asked, what happens when a dream gets kicked around? Maybe, he said, it dries up like a raisin in the sun, or maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or maybe it explodes. Jack Paxton, NBC News.
you love me. It doesn't matter, it goes into my head as just chit-chatter. You may think it's egotistical or just very free, but what you say, I take none of it seriously. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you so. I'd let you pretend to read me, and then you'd know. Cause I hate when one attempts to analyze. In fact, I despise those who even try to look into my eyes to see what I am thinking. That dream is over, your yacht is sinking. I tell all of you like I told all of them. What you say to me is just paper thin. Word. Girl to try to play a man out. Now take the money and again, then break the hell out. No, that's not my strategy, not the game I play. I admit I play a game, but it's not done that way. Truly, when I get involved, I give it my heart. I mean, my mama, sold my body, I mean, every part. But if it doesn't work out, yo, it just doesn't. It wasn't meant to be, you know, it just wasn't. So I treat all of you like I treat all of them. And what you say to me is still paper thin. In one ear and right out the other. Herders mumble jumble. Lover, I don't pay attention, I don't concentrate. You ain't got the bait that it takes to hook this. Sucker, you missed. I put feelings aside. I know who I am. My name is Light. Is your name Sam? Cause if it is, step off. Grab your coat and get lost. Wrap your scarf around your throat and go back and catch the boat and hit the road, Sam. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Sam. Don't you come back no more. So now I take precautions when choosing my mate. I do not touch until the third or fourth date. Then maybe we'll kiss on the fifth or sixth time that we meet. Cause a date without a kiss is so incomplete. And then maybe I'll let you play with my feet. You can suck the big toe and play with the middle. It's so simple, unlike a riddle. It's as easy as counting to 1, 2, 3. In other terms, letters L-Y-T-E. I'll tell you, and all of you in the back and in the middle, in the front. Yo. That's it, paper thin, word up. So like, check it out.
The problem of overpopulation is people. The middle income group and the upper income group are contributing vast quantities of babies. If you want to look at this in terms of the culprit is the white middle class family who is producing more babies than we need to keep a zero growth. And this is just beginning to reach people. It hasn't reached most people. And I think it's only been within the last few years as we begin to look at pollution, the smog hanging over our cities, the garbage floating in our rivers, this sort of thing. I think it really is just beginning to penetrate, perhaps at the level of my children, that maybe they shouldn't overproduce themselves. The consequences are far too hideous.
The goal should be not more than 2 children on the average in any family. This is strongly recommended by the population experts throughout the nation.
This is whatever income level.
Whatever income level.
Last year, for the first time since 1963, New York City's birth rate increased markedly. And it went up not only because people want more babies, but also because people who don't want babies are having them anyway. According to federal health officials, nearly 1/3 of the babies born here last year were unplanned and unwanted, and as a result are likely to grow up to spawn another, but larger, neglected generation.
Not everybody can take a pill. There are 20-day pills, a 21-day pill, and a 28-day pill. The doctor will recommend what pill you take.
Since last July, the city health department has set up 28 clinics like this one, all in poor neighborhoods. Here, birth control information and devices are made available to women who may have had access to neither. The devices, as well as medical care for children, are free. In this new bedside service, women in hospitals are visited by trained birth control counselors from their own neighborhoods. But health officials are convinced that if the program is to be truly effective, it must reach the young.
There's no question that more information about family life, sex education, and birth control is needed in the school system. One only needs to look at the large number of these sexually active youngsters who are having illegitimate children, and it goes up every year in New York City. We must reach them with information and with service. And information must be made available in the junior high schools and the high schools of this city, advising them how to seek family planning services, where they can get service if they need it.
Health officials, seeing the unwanted results of adolescent sexual activity, press for birth control programs in the schools. Dr. Daly would teach sexual attitudes as well as the practicalities of birth control, and he would teach them to the relatively young. Yet educators who've taught sex education courses without touching on birth control have run into fierce opposition from parents and church groups.
We are constantly being manipulated. If the problem is alcohol, we begin teaching about alcohol education. Last year was sex education, and this year our big problem is drug abuse.
I think
These are school officials and medical consultants who've grappled with the problem of sex education in schools on Long Island for 2 to 3 years. They find that times are uncertain and solutions are elusive.
I think we would find parents rejecting us in wholesale fashion properly, so there's got to be a kind of how-to course. And I don't think we're talking about that at all.
You know, I don't think we have to worry one bit about a how-to course of birth control or how not to, for this reason. If I thought that I was bringing a group of 16-year-olds together and teaching them birth control for the very first time, I don't think I would do it. It's all around them. And what they pick up in what's all around them is not only information, but fantastic, again, misinformation. I think you could run a course just clarifying and sorting out the fantastic amount of dangerous, really dangerous misinformation that kids have about birth control that's leading a lot of them into a great deal of trouble.
You know, I'd like to sound a warning, if I might. Yeah. If you recall, there are several places in the country, Anaheim, California, among them, where full-blown programs were introduced before people were quite ready for them. And in this area where there are particular sensitivities, I would feel that we make haste, but we make haste slowly.
Yes, at the same time, I think that the subject can be taught with dignity. I think we all agree with that. That it should be relaxed so that and dialogue. That's really the name of it.
Exciting, but not titillating.
Right, exactly.
It is a prerogative of the family, of the parents of children, rather than something that the schools or the state can take over with a mandated program.
So the schools should get out of the business of sex education?
I don't see how sex education can be taught without of religion, morals, or values, to even assuming that the school has some basis for coming in and teaching this. I visualize the problems inherent in trying to teach it in a certain way which would be consistent with the pluralistic beliefs of our society. And conversely, if these beliefs or values are not attached to the program, then it becomes a non-valued, or to my way of thinking, an amoral program.
What are the prospects for the future?
More chaos and more. You stop and think for a minute. This is the most pleasure-loving, the most protected, the most appetite-gratifying generation that ever was. They want instant satisfaction, instant virtue, instant everything. Instant applause, instant success. And when they grow up in this consumer culture with their nerve endings bombarded so that they expect vivid sensation and quick action all the time, and then they come to sex, how are they prepared to say, on this one, I will not rush in. On this one, I will not gratify myself at somebody else's emotional expense, and so forth and so on. How do you expect this of them? They're not asked to do this in anything else. And I expect the situation in homes, in marriages, in the daily treatment of man by man, of woman by woman, of man by woman, to get worse and worse and worse. If you ask me what the outcome will be, chaos will win.
Mr. Barr, where are we going?
To hell in a handcart.
In this case, the road over which that handcart travels is indeed paved with good intentions, but intentions of those who ignore or are intolerant of the facts that surround them. Jack Paxton, NBC
Become
News.
a bit of a rallying cry for the left, especially with Bobby Seale running around the country fanning the flames.
Rallying cry? That's insurrection!
Sir, the Panthers have become very resourceful. I'm afraid you underestimated the support in the black community. I mean, that's their power base. They say
Black Panther is born every minute in the ghetto.
Tell him I said I want that power base neutralized.
Mr. Hoover wishes the ultimate contingency implemented.
You mean?
That's exactly what I mean.
And Agent Rogers, this conversation never occurred.
Rogers, this is no good. Captain Conley, you've been taking money from the mob for years.
Gentlemen, forgive me for keeping you. Dorset. No matter how we try to deny it, we always end up on the same side of the coin. It's almost funny.
To be quite honest, it turns my stomach.
Neither your stomach nor your opinion matters here, Dorset. What matters is that Mr. Tynan's clients and the Bureau have come up with a solution to our Panther problem.
Final solution, you might say. Our clients, of course, are very pleased that Mr. Hoover decided to take our little suggestion to heart. By the way, why did he change his mind?
Woman's intuition.
Are you sure that you can control the product? Can you assure us that this will not get out of hand?
Of course. Our clients have vast experience in these communities. It's just a matter of degrees. You give us free rein of the ghetto, we solve your problem. I'll assure you one thing. The pacifying qualities of heroin are quite formidable. Junkies' politics are not like yours and mine. I'll even read the future for you. Very soon, the jigaboos, no offense, the jigaboos will be wanting this stuff so bad they'll be running around trying to sell, they'll be blowing each other's brains out.
It's not a racial issue, it's a matter of law and order.
Of course, at any rate, we just set them up and we step back.
When can you get it out in the streets?
Quick as possible. We'll manufacture and distribute from a warehouse. Dorset knows the lookout.
I reiterate, we need assurances on containment, that it stays strictly within the problem area. I want you to put somebody on this. Keep tabs on the new operation. No offense.
You talk as if this thing's been decided.
It has been.